Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Where the 99 Lead. The historic 99 steps that lead to the University of Pikeville campus, more importantly lead from campus back into the community, into the world, changing the world. We have a special guest today on this edition of Where the 99 Lead, a first-time guest on this program. He's been a member of campus for some time now, and of course we say campus for those that are out there. Around campus, it's known as family. Dr. Burton Webb, University of Pikeville's 21st president, joins us today. Dr. Webb, welcome to Where the 99 Lead.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You've been here a little while now. You've become acclimated with Pikeville, and Pikeville has become acclimated with Dr. Burton Webb. We're going to talk about what's going on at the University of Pikeville, and before we get there, we want to talk about your background. You grew up on a small farm in Michigan with parents for teachers. Education was in your life early on.
It certainly was. We grew up, as you said, on a little farm about 14 acres that my dad ran for some extra income during the summer because both he and my mother were teachers. And Dad taught English and social studies, Mom taught math and biology. There was no homework problem we couldn't have help with at home. It was a great way to grow up.
How tough is it being the child of teachers and being a student?
Yeah, that's a great question. You really are expected to get A's on everything.
Yeah.
And fortunately, my siblings and I were all pretty good in the classroom, so there wasn't any disappointment at home when it came grade time. Certainly other things we didn't live up to what we should have, but at least academically we did okay.
Yeah, I would imagine there was not much sympathy if you came home complaining, that teacher's just got it out for me.
There was zero sympathy with that in our house.
Guarantee it. Dr. Burton Webb, of course, a child of teachers, education important early on. That was instilled in you from the time you were born, I would imagine, through your education. Tell us about your background educationally after high school. Talk about that.
Yeah, after high school, I went to Olivet Nazarene University, which is a liberal arts college, not all that different from the University of Pikeville. It's just a little bit south of Chicago. And 4 years there, I met my wife. That was a wonderful time being in school together and learning together. And then after that, most people don't know this, but I took a year off and played in a Christian rock and roll band for a year and did all the frontman vocals for that group.
Sure.
I made one mistake in that year, and that was subscribing to the journal Science. They had a student-level membership that you could get at that time, and wherever we were across the country, those journals would catch up, and I would devour them. So by the time we got to about March in that year, I knew that I needed to go back to graduate school. I ended up at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, and have a master's degree from there, and then applied to the Indiana University School of Medicine, where I have a PhD in microbiology and immunology.
Right. And you have taught as well?
I have, yeah. I taught for 21 years, a combination of undergraduate and medical education at IU, my alma mater, and then also at Indiana Wesleyan University.
Your wife, the First Lady, Dr. Kay Webb, has an extensive background in higher education as well. Tell us a little about her and her role at UPike.
Yeah, Kay has a PhD in counseling psychology. At the time that she completed that degree, it was the #1 rated program in the country. So she is no slouch academically. She's able to hold her own with the best scholars out there. Kay, for many years, was on the graduate faculty at the last university that we were involved with, and did very well there, was published several times and spoke in conferences all over the northwest part of the country. Here, she's decided to take a year and figure out where her talents can best be used.
Sure.
She has become involved in the board of things like Scholar House early on. She enjoys that role and loves to work with those young women and helping them to find their way academically and certainly in life. So that's been an important part of what she does. More recently, just within the last few weeks, Kay has agreed to serve as a part-time faculty member in the School of Optometry. I don't know if you realize this, but Andy Bazzelli has a very unique vision for education in optometry that includes a pretty well-rounded optometrist, understanding who they are and what their mission in the world is. And for years at his last institution, he sought for a psychologist who he could team teach a course with. And lo and behold, he ended up at UPike, and there's one who doesn't have work and is looking for ways to plug in. So she will take a part-time role in that and is really looking forward to doing that.
How's your time been in Pikeville? You've been here almost a year now.
We've been here a little over 6 months, actually, and it's been great. My wife and I are continually amazed with the people of this region, the level of grit that they have, the determination to be successful and to thrive is something that is just ever impressive to us, and we're really glad that we made this move. It's a great place.
You leave the classroom and you go into administration at some point. What caused you to move in that direction?
You know, it's interesting. This is the first job that I've actually left the classroom for. When I was the chief academic officer in my last position, I taught every year.
Sure.
And I believe that that's important. And I'll still occasionally guest lecture. When I was elected by the Board of Trustees, one of the trustees asked Boyd Boozer, the dean of the medical school, what's it like to have a president who could teach for you? He says, anytime he gets bored, he can come down. So there may be times that I end up in the classroom, but certainly not for a whole course, just for 1 or 2 lectures.
You and Kay come to the University of Pikeville, a small liberal arts school, much like what you've been around in your early educational career, with a medical school and now an optometry school. What attracted you to UPike?
You know, it was the region of the country as much as anything. My wife and I have a very deep sense of calling to serve people who live in historically or traditionally underserved areas. We've always been drawn to rural areas. Indiana Wesleyan, the first university that I taught at, was located in Marion, Indiana, quite literally in the middle of a cornfield.
Yes, it is.
There's really not much around, and we started there in 1994. The school was about 1,300 students, and when we left in 2000, it was just under 18,000. They'd passed Notre Dame as the largest private institution in the state of Indiana. So we're drawn to that kind of, and they serve primarily underserved students. We're drawn to that. We went to Northwest Nazarene University for the same region, rural Idaho, a great place to serve kids from all over the region. And so when this position came open, the combination of medical education and liberal arts education is unique. There are so few colleges that do that and do it as well as the University of Pikeville does. I had visited UPike in 1999 looking at the medical college because IWU was considering starting a medical school at that time. So I met with the dean, the founding dean of the institution. We talked for quite a while. And when I saw this position, I thought, I know that college. Those are great people. I would love to have a part in the life of the people of Pikeville. And so we were drawn back for that reason. And then, of course, meeting the search committee and the board of trustees and the folks that we've come into contact with here every day as the days go by, we fall more in love with the people of this region. And we're looking forward to hopefully a long tenure.
Dr. Burton Webb, president of the University of Pikeville, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. Dr. Webb, you mentioned you had visited Pikeville in 1999.
Yes.
The School of Osteopathic Medicine, just in its beginnings then.
Yes.
Early on, the UPike campus, then Pikeville College campus, was much different than it was when you arrived again in 2016. How drastic of a change was that?
Oh, huge change, because when I came, the Cole building wasn't there. Of course, Record Memorial was there, and the medical school at the time was in Armington. I remember walking in and going down to the basement, and it was just this sort of dark place, and yet there was such a sense of hope around the campus because the medical students were there and there was an excitement with them. The undergraduate college was doing better than it had in previous years, and so it was a great place. Pikeville itself has changed a lot. I barely recognized this city when I drove back into it for the first time. The installation of the 2 hotels downtown, the expansion of the hospital, I mean, it was really a stunning change to the city, and I was very pleased when I saw it.
Do you find that the downtown growth, the businesses, the hotels, the medical center, and the growth of UPike all work in conjunction to change this town?
Yeah, I absolutely do. You know, the 2 driving forces, well, perhaps 3, in town really are the university and the hospital and the city itself. I think that the city has done some really good things to make Pikeville attractive to businesses, whether they're small businesses with a dozen or so employees or large businesses. It's done some really innovative things, and I'm looking forward to the new industrial park that's going to exist just south of town. I think that that's going to draw more folks into the region, which will only benefit the rest of us who are living here.
Sure.
So it's a tremendous asset.
We talk about the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine and its origins, its mission, its original mission to serve an underserved region of Central Appalachia.
Yeah.
That's what you and your wife have been drawn to educationally, is to serve those types of areas. Do you feel like the osteopathic school is meeting its mission?
Oh, I certainly do. And we just received a large sheaf of data from the dean of the college, who had to prove to COCA, the accrediting body, that we're actually living up to our mission. Let me just give you one little glimpse of that, if I may. In this region, there are an enormous number of counties that are ranked by the federal health department as underserved counties.
Sure.
If you look at the list when we started in 1997 and the list now, several counties have fallen off the underserved counties list. And what's even more impressive is that alumni from the University of Pikeville's College of Osteopathic Medicine serve 1.5 million patients in underserved counties. Something like 41% of our physicians stay in Appalachia and continue to serve the men and women who proudly work and live in this region. That's tremendous. That's us meeting our mission, and we're very, very happy about that.
We're coming up on the fall semester. You'll welcome a new class to campus. You'll welcome your first class to campus. There's been an increased focus in higher education on first-year students. Why is that first year of college so important?
It's critical that students engage in the first year and that they begin to understand the value of higher education. If they're going to persist throughout 4 years, then what happens with them in the first 6 weeks on campus is really the crucial window. Most of the research would tell us that students are going to make a decision to stay or not in that first 6 weeks. Whether they persist and continue is critical. So we have arranged a variety of very new and different experiences for them in that first window of time. We'll have a week-long orientation for all of our new students. We haven't had that for many years. We'll have a welcome week that follows that. One of the great events that's going to be a part of that is the entire freshman class will climb the 99. I don't know if we've done that in years.
Sure.
But we'll be at the top of that, and we'll welcome them with a pin that says University of Pikeville Freshman Class, and there'll be a party up at the top of that. We're hoping to have faculty and community members line the pathway. I think someone even told me about tiki torches. I don't know if that's going to happen or not yet,
Okay.
but it should be a really great tradition as we walk right past Paul Patton's statue,
Sure.
climb the 99, and end up there on Benefactors Plaza. It's going to be terrific.
The university recently welcomed its first provost to campus. Tell us about Dr. Worth and her role as the chief academic officer.
Yeah, when I interviewed for this position, Tom Hess and I had a talk about his role at the institution. For many years, Dr. Hess has been playing two roles. He's been the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Frankly, those are two full-time jobs.
Sure.
So one of the first things, I went to lunch and his assistant came up to me and says, "You've got to get Tom out of two jobs." And I took that to heart because Tom's heart and passion for the university is just incredible, but we couldn't continue to work him the insane hours that he was working to
Right.
manage both of those things. So Tom and I had a conversation very early on, and he indicated to me that he was in agreement that we needed to move toward a provost model and that he did not want to be that person. So we started a national search for a provost. There were 5 people that I invited to apply for that position. It ended up that the 2 finalists were one person who I had previous experience with and knew, and one who I didn't. Both great candidates. Both did very well with the search committee, but the clear selection of the search committee and the community and everyone was Dr. Worth. She has been already an incredible asset on campus. As the chief academic officer for all of our undergraduate programs, she is making changes that are being felt already.
Are there changes in the undergraduate academics, the liberal arts side, that maybe you could share with us that we may see coming down the road?
It's probably a little too early to talk about that. I do think that there are things that we can do to improve the liberal arts education that we offer. But quite frankly, the curriculum rightly rests in the hands of the faculty. So I'll have an opportunity to present my vision for what that might become, but the faculty will then have to wrestle with that. Higher education is somewhat unique in organizational structures around the United States in that we exist in a collaborative governance model. And I believe in that because I think that the product that we put out, the education that we offer to students that is so transformative in their lives is something that requires the input of more than just one or two people. So I will challenge the faculty to rethink the general education and to envision it a little differently than it is currently structured, but it's going to rest in their hands, and I think that that's proper.
How important are the needs of the region in the direction that UPike goes?
Oh, they're critically important. You know, we all understand that the economy of the region has taken a hit in the last several years. Certainly the downturn in the coal industry has been just a tremendous problem for this region. I actually liken it to the place that I grew up. You know, I grew up in a little town called Montrose, which sits just outside the suburbs of Flint, Michigan. In Flint, when I was there were 120 or 130,000 GM employees. If you were to drive through Flint now, you wouldn't find a single General Motors factory. All of those employees are gone. Flint is arguably the most crime-ridden city in the United States. I saw one survey where it was the most violent city in the United States today.
Sure.
The downturn in the economy, because that economy was based solely on one industry, has just devastated that region. I think that the people of Pikeville have more foresight than that. I think that we've already begun to see some diversification in the economy away from a single industry. I have nothing against the coal industry, please don't get me wrong, but diversity in an economy is something that builds strength and helps us to resist the changes in political ideology and the changes in economic winds. And we need to be able to resist those things, and diversity will lead us down that path.
Dr. Burton Webb, president of the University of Pikeville, our guest today, and Dr. Webb will welcome his first class to campus. You've recently had a chance to welcome the first class of the College of Optometry to campus. They've arrived, the building's under construction. What was it like to greet those students?
It was terrific. You know, one of my favorite things about this class is that they will be the class of 2020.
Yes.
And I find that just a tremendous symbol for the first class of optometry students from what will be the most innovative optometry college in the nation.
Sure.
We have a broader scope of practice than any other state. There has been incredible foresight by the leaders of the Optometric Association in the state of Kentucky so that we will be able to do a wide variety of procedures and other things that optometrists in the rest of the country are green with envy about. So when we welcomed this first class, it was predicted by most observers on the sidelines that we would have a hard time recruiting 30 students for this class. We had over 600 applications for 65 seats.
Sure.
It wasn't difficult at all for us to get those students because the scope of practice and the innovations that we're going to offer them will be truly unique in the country. And when they leave this place, they will be able to transform the profession of optometry. We're very excited about that.
Indeed. Certainly changing UPike, another addition to the UPike family with the School of Optometry. We've been watching the progress of the construction of the Health Professions building. The community and the region watches that construction, and we see that construction ongoing. We see a lot of progress being made, and we hear the first class is on campus now.
They are.
Talk about that building, its schedule, and when students will be in that building.
Students will be in that building the first of the year. We are moving that construction along quite well. I think that we've got a good path to accreditation inside the building. I think at this point we believe that the top floor will be delayed just a little bit, but all of the functional parts of the building that we need to welcome the class will be ready at the beginning of class in the second semester. Right now those students are taking some classes up in Armington, up in the building that we've had for a long time, and then their clinical setup is down in the Community Technology Center that's near the library in downtown Pikeville. They are excited. Those students are bright-eyed and running around campus, learning where everything is located right now, and doing very well.
And they come from all across the country.
They do.
And it was very interesting to hear where those students are coming from and their desire to come to Pikeville and changing our campus with each of those students and what they bring to campus as well. Dr. Boozer, recently inaugurated as president of the American Osteopathic Association. We mentioned earlier the statue of Governor Paul Patton now at the base of campus and where the 99 meets the community. Those are huge accomplishments.
They are.
Governor Paul Patton, so much that he has accomplished in his not just educational but his business career and his political career. Dr. Boozer is now the president of the American Osteopathic Association. Huge accomplishments. What do they mean to the U-Pike family?
You know, where do you even start with Governor Patton?
Yeah.
We just spent an hour just the other day celebrating all of the things that he has done, and it would be difficult for us in a 30-minute show to even begin to describe the significance of Paul Patton in the life of the University of Pikeville and certainly in this region in eastern Kentucky. His contribution has been so tremendous that it may take a century for us to fully understand what he's done for this region. Dr. Boozer has done tremendous things within the College of Osteopathic Medicine. He's certainly led to some major reformation in curriculum, but perhaps his larger impact, even than that, is his impact on the overall profession of osteopathic medicine. It is certainly no longer a regional curriculum, you know, that it was 100 or so years ago. It's now national and international. The growth in the number of osteopathic medical schools has been tremendous. He has contributed to several committees on the federal level and the national level, and now occupying this presidency of the AOA will give him voice into the next administration's decisions on major things like pain management and opioid addiction and a variety of things like that. Dr. Boozer has been just a significant presence on this campus.
And the newest class at the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, have they arrived on campus?
They arrived the same day that the optometry students did, yeah, 135 students.
It's an exciting time.
It is.
When students return to campus, it's an exciting time for the U-Pike family. And that's something that we mention a lot. Every time we talk on this program, whether it's faculty, administration, academics, athletics, community programs, there's talk of a U-Pike family. You and your wife, obviously, that's important to you.
It is.
When you heard before you arrived and when you hear U-Pike family, what does that mean to you?
You know, it's something that we're really, I think, still wrapping our minds around. When I challenged the faculty in my first few days on campus to begin to think about the identity of the University of Pikeville, the theme that continued to rise to the surface was the theme of family. And that theme has so many facets. You know, we live together, we work together, we do everything that we can to help make students successful within the family. When you think about a family unit, the most important pieces of the family unit really are the kids, because that's the next generation. We think about the U-Pike family and the investment that we make in the students, the student experience, the educational experience that they have, preparing them to live lives well in the first job, in the second job, in the third job, in everything that they do in the facets of their lives. That's an important component of family. I think another important component is that when we come into situations where we might disagree about things, that we know that disagreements are temporary, but family is permanent. We're going to be in this family relationship even if we struggle with things. We'll struggle together, we'll come out on the other side, and we'll be stronger for the struggle. So moving in that direction with family is critical.
With the continued growth of the university, how tough is it to maintain family?
It is tricky, you know, because the larger families get, the more they tend to spread out and the more diverse they get. The difficulty that I think we're facing right now is a problem with the creation of silos. When you have large graduate colleges that tend to operate on their own, often the faculty, staff, and students don't have many opportunities to interact with one another on a day-to-day basis. Certainly, Governor Patton was insightful when he created an opportunity for all of those groups to come together for lunch, and we do. And so we interact as family around the table, which I think is something that's very important to continue doing. But Kay and I have also been very intentional about that. We're hosting events in our home that mixes up faculty, staff from across the college so that we have opportunities to sit and talk and share life together. Because I really think that it's in sharing of personal stories that we understand one another, and then the silos begin to fall.
Very good. Dr. Burton Webb, president of the University of Pikeville, our guest. And when students and faculty return to campus, this fall. It's only a few short days away. They'll notice a few updates on campus. Talk about renovations and areas that might be getting a facelift.
Yeah, we had quite a few areas that got facelifts this year. Of course, you've got some of the normal kinds of construction things with HVAC and things like that. But one of the things that Governor Patton has done very well is created a fund for depreciation every year. So part of our annual budgeting process includes funding for depreciation of buildings. And this year, that was a pretty significant amount of money. We made a decision as an executive staff to invest the vast majority of that money in facilities that affect students. So the student residence halls, most of them have been repainted, a couple of them have been recarpeted. I just walked through College Square. It is stunning how clean and beautiful that building is. It's a great space. The Record Memorial Building has had some pretty significant investment. Booth Auditorium has had a complete facelift. It's going to look really nice when students come back in the fall. Maybe one of the easiest to see and most obvious changes, though, has been the painting of the Armington building.
Yes.
It's no longer white with black stains, it's now beige. And so we kid, John Holman and I, about this being the summer of beige because we've painted a lot of things that color this year.
Very good. Very good. You'll soon begin writing a column for the Appalachian News Express on a monthly basis. What topics will you cover?
You know, I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I am always fascinated by the way in which narrative shapes our view of the world. And so the title that I'm toying with for that column is actually The Stories We Tell Ourselves. And it will be stories of hope that cause us to look beyond our troubles in Central Appalachia and try to begin to form ideas for what our future might look like. How do we become the region that continues to be the energy hub of the United States? Whether that's coal or not, can we continue to press forward in that? Can we create stories that tell ourselves we don't have to fail at mathematics? That science can be one of the ways that we can really change this region and transform things. Those are the kinds of stories that I'm collecting and the things that I plan on writing.
Here's a start for your first column.
All right.
Dr. Burton Webb, in his first column in the Appalachian News Express, what do you see as the story you tell UPike's greatest opportunity moving forward?
UPike's greatest opportunity, I think, is to continue to contribute to the local community and to the region in ways that help people envision entrepreneurial activity that will improve the overall livelihood of this region. Whether that's working as an employee in someone else's company or picking up with what the Innovation Network is doing and with what some of our student groups are doing and winning competitions and creating the next generation of business, the next generation of entrepreneurial activity that will really drive this community into the future.
Great answer. Next generation arrives on campus very soon in the next few days. Dr. Burton Webb, it seems apparent that the University of Pikeville is in great hands, and your first time on the show, we welcome you to Pikeville. A great addition with you and your wife, Kay. We will call her the First Lady. And we welcome you to the community and to the university. We welcome you back real soon.
Thanks. It's great to be here. It's been a wonderful opportunity to speak with you today and looking forward to a great future.
Dr. Burton Webb, the 21st president of the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia. Thanks for tuning in.